All right, guys, we are live. We are live, and I'm coming at you with five. Welcome to another edition of Gavin Richard Presents here only on channel GBoo 2786. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. And we'll get right into it. Just give me 1 second. I'm just having a few little difficulties. I was trying to get something started for y'all. Hold on a second.
Live stream here only on Facebook and YouTube.
I'm tired of this damn thing. Hold on. Anybody can hear me? Say yeah. Comment. We're going in on it tonight. We got some people in the chat. Come on, y'all. Don't be no strangers. Say something so I can see. I'm going to put your comments up here. Come on. Who we got in the room? Come on. I'm trying to get my music to play. And for whatever reason, it's not working. I don't know what it is. So okay, hold on. This is how I usually like to start a show. So, and now the internet is acting up on my end. I'm sick of this. There we go. Yeah, what's up, Clay? We're going to get right into it. Yeah, y'all like my beat? Okay. We are live. We are live. All right. We're back. I'm sorry about that, guys. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but I was trying to get stuff together, make it more professional. If you can hear me, let me know. Say something in the chat. Who we got in the room tonight? Let's see who we got. We got Clay Stevenson. What's up, Clay? We got 7 people right now on Facebook and on YouTube. I can only see the comments basically through YouTube. I can't see them through Facebook unless I'm on my phone right now. And let's just see here. I'm actually looking at this through my phone, and I'm going to be looking at this through through Facebook. What's up, Keith? Keith Ponder is here. Justin Facebook, Jack, Raquel, Rocky, what's up, man? That's the playback right there. So, all right. So we're getting right into it, guys. Please hit the subscribe button if you have not to channel GBoo 2786. Let me just tell you something that YouTube is doing. They have been scrubbing my subscribers. They've done a lot of things to different black YouTubers as far as demonetization of channels. You're talking about not only the scrubbing of YouTubers, but also removing certain videos that are on there. I've heard my brother Ron Hurd of We All Be News. Shout out to him. You guys need to subscribe to Ron Hurd's channel. You need to subscribe to, I think it's called We All Be. I've subscribed. I've known Ron for a long time. He puts on great content. You also need to look at his podcast he has on Anchor, just like me. And that's another thing. You guys need to check out my podcast on Anchor. Gavin Richard Presents. I'll actually leave a link to that as well. And please, you got to support. I stress this a lot and enough because if we want to see, and this is actually a good way to lead into our topic, if we want to be divorced from those who oppress us, then we have to be willing to make sacrifices and we have to be willing to contribute to those that are putting it out on the line day in and day out to address these issues. Now, I'm not necessarily an activist per se where I'm going to go out and I'm just telling you guys the truth. I'm going out and risking my life and so forth. I don't think of myself like that. I'm an attorney, but I talk about the issues and facts, and I do the best that I can with what I have. What I'm doing now is speaking out, talking about these things. We're talking about a topic that is very, people talk about it being controversial, and some things you're not going to like that I say on my channel, but there's some things you are going to like. And honest to God, truth, and this is the truth. I don't care if some people don't like what I say. And that's the real issue here when it comes to being in Hollywood. Nick Cannon, and we're leading into that, was more about, did not want to bite off the hand that feeds him. And that is where we're at right now. And so this is a good way to segue into what's going on. And unless you've been under a rock, these last 48 to 72 hours in the entertainment industry with regards to so-called Black Hollywood has just been playing crazy. So back on June 30th, I believe, Nick Cannon conducted an interview with your Professor Griff of Public Enemy. And of course, people may have remember back in the day in the late 80s, the Public Enemy had people like Flavor Flav and Chuck D. And Public Enemy basically was the first, I don't want to say political rap group. I don't think that sounds right. But they were very, because you had Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, although that was just a song. And even Run DMC early on, they did some political stuff. But mainly, they were the hottest selling ticket right there in the late 80s. With those guys having songs like 911 is a joke and Fight the Power, they were addressing the racist and oppressive system. And believe it or not, they had mostly white fans during that age as much as they did black fans, probably a little bit more because there are more white people, obviously, in America, and they're the biggest listeners of R&B and hip hop. That is a fact. It's not a secret also that they're also the ones who are the producers and the executives at your record labels where we see the black rappers and artists who use the N-word or, who say words like nigger and bitch and hoe. And you see all of that into their music radio, the listening lyrics, the radios, everything that's played, you hear all of that. And they feed that. And I've noticed they don't really show too many positive rappers anymore. Like, I haven't heard, maybe it's been a little while since I've seen Kendrick Lamar. And remember, Kendrick Lamar got robbed and cheated in the Grammys a couple of years ago, to the point where Macklemore, I think it was in 2015, Macklemore, who you don't even hear about anymore, by the way, had to even send him a text message apologizing that he won Best New Rap Artist and Best Rap Album of the Year, because he was like, you should have won all of this, bro. I'm sorry. But I digress. So getting into when we're talking about Nick Cannon, of course, with Public Enemy, he was doing an interview with Professor Griff, and they were talking about different things about Semitism and so forth. And at some point, and during the interview, he was talking about savagery and white supremacy and how white people act. And he also talked about the Rothschild family, and I've heard these things as well, the banking system and so forth. And some people did, a lot of people did not like what he said. People in the Jewish community, and the Jewish community didn't like what he said. And because he does business with Viacom, CBS, and those are institutions that are run by people who are in the Jewish faith, they made the decision to fire him, supposedly from Viacom, CBS. Now, what is interesting about with that is that after he was fired, Nick Cannon was still ranting about Viacom CBS trying to take his company, his fortune, because he said Wild 'N Out is actually a $1 billion fortune. It's $1 billion. I said fortune, excuse me. It is a fortune, but it's $1 billion industry per se. And Nick Cannon, although he is the creator of Wild 'N Out and producer, I believe he doesn't own all of it. I think the trademarks are under Viacom CBS. And this is a problem. And we're talking about this now because I talked about this on my radio. We're talking about this now, and I talked about this in a previous broadcast I did in about 2 months ago with Sean James. Shout out to Sean. We were talking about the 1996 Telecommunications Act that was passed by and signed under Bill Clinton. And what that act did was essentially it destroyed black radio and black, if there were any, black television, because now those anti-monopoly laws that were in place, for instance, what that act did, it removed restrictions from a major corporation. So if you had you could not have, for instance, multiple, a small mom and pop shop and a Walmart nearby, and then a few blocks down, another Walmart. You understand what I'm saying? You couldn't have that type of competition because it would kill the competition. It would kill the little man. Well, that's just an example of that. So what happens now, and that was the same with black radio. You know, over almost 200 black radio stations, and now as of 2015, those have gone down to 93. You know, Viacom CBS, and I'm going to share this with you. I want you to take a look at this, okay? I want y'all to take a close look at this. All right? I got this on Wikipedia, so y'all know it's real. Okay. This is Viacom CBS. They were founded in 2019. The founder is Sherry Redstone. Sherry Redstone is the one that fired Nick Cannon. Okay? And says here that Viacom CBS is a premier cable television network including MTV, Nickelodeon, BET, Comedy Central, and Showtime. Now, you think about that for a minute. Here's some other networks before a list of assets that they own. Okay? They own Simon & Schuster Publishing. They own Telefe, International Networks in Argentina. BET. I didn't know this, but do y'all know that there's actually a BET Showtime? There's a new channel. Yes, I saw it. Showcase. Showcase is now being rebranded as Show BET to be the black network of Showtime. And so Kids and Family Group, MTV, you guys get the picture, logo. So there is no, when you see the BET Awards, and after Nick Cannon got fired, it was interesting. People were saying, oh, he needs to go to BET. Well, he can't go to BET because BET is owned by Viacom. And that's important because that's why I always stress it is relative to have a black-owned network, a strictly black-owned network that you can go to. Revolt Channel, which is run by Diddy gave him an offer, and Oprah was giving an offer. But what I learned is that Revolt, I believe that reason why Revolt is there, even though Diddy is and shout out to Diddy because, yes, he offered that to Nick Cannon, But my understanding is the reason that network was created, it's still under the Comcast brand. And as far as Oprah Winfrey is concerned, Oprah Winfrey doesn't even own OWN. A lot of people don't know that. She does not own OWN. She, even though that's her name, and people think that's the Oprah brand, she does not own that. I think she doesn't own the majority shares in it. So let me just stop this right quick. So there's been this whole fallout over what was said, what Nick Cannon said, and he was actually firing back at CBS, talking about, I'm a boss. You don't fire a boss. And we were all, and black people were all standing behind him. And yet, not even 24 hours later, Nick Cannon is, it looks like a back-broken buck. I'm just being real with you. And look, I don't know Nick Cannon personally. He seems like a nice guy, but I think that he, it's clear he didn't want to lose his money. And I think the important thing you can learn, that we all can learn when we see stories like this, is that we cannot expect those who are in Hollywood to actually fight and speak up for us. We keep making the mistake of having celebrities stand up and speak for us. Celebrities don't represent you. Some of them are mindless trolls. They don't know what the hell they're saying. They're reading a script. Remember, these are people whose business is based in fantasy. They live in a world where in Hollywood where they deal with make-believe. So they may not be ready to accept the real world, which is why you have people that are upset with a Nick Cannon speaking out, talking about black people being the original Hebrews. And if you're not ready to speak out, my advice to you is don't do it if you ain't ready to lead. You can't say you're ready to go to war, but you ain't ready to pull the trigger. And I'm not saying Nick Cannon can't speak out or be a man. I'm not saying that people can't, be in Hollywood and not make their money. Can they be conscious and make their money? Of course they can. There are strategies to certain things, and there's certain ways. But Nick was completely looked embarrassed by doing this. A lot of people who supported him feel upset about it because subsequently after that, he started to people, and maybe it wasn't him, it was probably his handlers, but they started scrubbing his post, anything that he had positive. Like if you go to the YouTube channel, he took down his interview with Professor Griff. It's my understanding he even took down the interview he did with Tariq Nasheed. Like it's been a total scrub of posts. And so where it leads to today, and the video that I'm talking about, I've seen this article. Now, let me be abundantly clear. Oh, for the record, this is not, I don't want you guys coming up here to me, writing and putting your comments in, talking about Gavin is anti-Semitic. Gavin supports anti-Semitism. This ain't about that. And it's the furthest from the truth. But we got to call out things the way we see it. And on yesterday, all right, basketball legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wrote this op-ed, said, "Where is the outrage over anti-Semitism in sports in Hollywood?" Now, this is a black man, a black Muslim, who, if you remember, I remember when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was there to support Muhammad Ali. I remember, and I'm gonna show you this picture right quick. Most of you I wasn't there, of course, because that was ahead of my time. I'm an 80s baby, so Jabbar and Bill Russell and Ali, those guys all came out in the 1960s. Jim Brown, all of those guys. Remember, these guys all stood. Uh, Hold on, we're gonna put the picture up. Before I share this article, I gotta put this picture up because this says something. Okay, hold on one second. Excuse me one second. Sorry, guys. They always say a picture is worth 1,000 words. All right. Those of y'all, I'm sure Keith remembers this. All right. Now, y'all look at this picture. In that picture, thumbs up, guys. Hit the thumbs up button on this too. Hit the thumbs up, like, love, subscribe, hit it all. You see Bill Russell. You see Ali. You see Jim Brown. You see a young Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he was with, I think he was either coming out of UCLA at the time when this was taken. And Kareem played for, because the Los Angeles Lakers weren't in LA by the time Kareem was playing. When Kareem was playing, I think was it the Milwaukee Lakers? If I'm not mistaken. Because I was a Lakers fan, but if I'm not mistaken, the Lakers actually came from that area. Because you think about it, when you talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, Los Angeles doesn't have, lakes like talking about it. So wherever they started, it started from the 60s. I believe they played up in Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken. So you have your Kareem Abdul-Jabbar here. And this was somebody who at one point I had a lot of respect for. I have a lot of respect for Jim Brown. I have a lot of respect for, obviously, for the great Muhammad Ali. Minneapolis Lakers. I said Milwaukee. I'm sorry. Minneapolis Lakers from 1947 to 1960. Okay, so that was ahead of Kareem's time. But Kareem, I believe, he was playing for UCLA. I'm looking up his stats right now. Came out of UCLA in 1969. So I think when Ali refused the draft was in 1966. So Kareem was still a college athlete when Ali made this decision. He played for the Milwaukee Bucks. Excuse me. That's what it was. Okay. He didn't play for the Lakers. Yeah, but I was in the right area. I had the wrong team. I had the wrong team. I had the right city, but it was the Milwaukee Bucks, right? And Kareem got traded to the Lakers in 75. So when you look at this summit, that picture, what you see is power. And Brother Ali, the late great Muhammad Ali, I probably even shouldn't say late because legends never die. He did not care about losing it all. He was willing to risk it all for something that he believed. Now, whether your feelings about the war and the draft and so forth, most Americans, I think nowadays, we're very supportive of our troops. I think a lot of the men in Vietnam, this is just me, didn't get a lot of respect when they came back home because it was an unpopular war to fight there. A lot of people were critics of it, which is understandable. But I still think we can support our troops and support those that were affected by Vietnam and the things that they went through. But Brother Ali was willing to risk it all. And, if you're not willing to risk it all, then don't say nothing. Then don't say nothing. Don't be a leader if you're not willing to put it up. Like somebody, if Nick Cannon was scared to do that interview with Professor Griff, which I don't think he was scared, but if he was concerned about the backlash he would have faced from Viacom CBS or losing his, paycheck, because he's also the host of, was it The Masked Singer? Then probably he should have been counseled by people beforehand, just letting him know, hey man, maybe you shouldn't be doing this, or perhaps not, perhaps putting a disclaimer up. Sometimes I've had to do that with certain guests who I know, I do it all the time though, but sometimes everybody who, if I have a certain guest on that I know people may have issues with, I put a disclaimer up. They don't represent me. I respect their views. I respect freedom of speech. Same thing. They do this all the time when you hear radio announcements. They say the views heard in this on this channel do not necessarily reflect the views of this network or this host or anyone else, and that's what they do. But I think Nick got spooked into losing all of that money that he worked for and losing that job on The Masked Singer. Now remember something though, Nick Cannon left America's Got Talent because he was doing a stand-up special in 2017, and he made the decision because NBC called him out or was trying to get him to change his to edit out, I believe, his comedy special when he was talking about NBC. He told him fuck y'all and walked off. Now say what you want about Nick Cannon, about being a comedian or entertainer. I personally, are a rapper, and that's questionable, but he has mastered. He has built a franchise. Nobody can deny that and take that from him. And I had a lot of respect for the man. And I'm trying to be real respectful when I say this in all sincerity, but it looked bad. It is bad that he just backtracked like that. But it is a lesson to Black people that we can no longer not only rely on celebrities, Black celebrities, but they have no backbone. Most of them are too scared to do anything. Makia Major says she's seen this picture before. Yeah, they're scared of losing their check. And so when it comes to Kareem wrote this article. He wrote this article. Hold on, I'm trying to get it back up. I'm in different tabs. Calling out Black anti-Semitism. Clay says he played for the Milwaukee Bucks and then the LA Lakers. Yeah, that's right. What's up, GK? How you doing, baby? Y'all hit that donate Cash App, please. So Kareem writes this article. Okay, I hate when I gotta go through multiple tabs doing this. Okay, where is the outrage over anti-Semitism in sports? Right? And I think what was bad about this is the fact that the first picture you see is who? Is Ice Cube. And if y'all remember back in the day, especially in the 90s, Ice Cube, when he had left NWA at that point, but brother was getting very political and social with his rap lyrics. And he was hanging out with the Nation of Islam. I remember when he did that interview with the Fruit of Islam there, standing with him, and the guy being uncomfortable with him doing that. I remember when he called out, obviously, Jerry, who was the manager of NWA? Jerry, damn, I know it too. Y'all know who he is, right? Jerry, it's not Lawler. I think anybody knows the name, you can hit it up. But yeah, it was Jerry something, okay? Who's a Jewish man. Now, again, this is not about hate speech. This is just facts. Now, he has this picture up, and Jerry Heller, that's his name, Jerry Heller. All right. And You see this picture of Ice Cube, and Kareem is saying, "Where's the outrage over anti-Semitism in sports in Hollywood?" And this is the Hollywood Reporter, which just spews propaganda. He said recent incidents of anti Semitic tweets and posts from sports and entertainment celebrities are a very troubling omen for the future of the Black Lives Matter movement, but so too is the shocking lack of massive indignation. Given the new wokefulness in Hollywood and the sports world, we expected more passionate public outrage. What we got was a shrug of May rage. Okay. When reading the dark, squishy entrails of popular culture, me rage is the face of sustained prejudice, is an indisputable sign of the coming apathy to all forms of social justice. After all, it is okay to discriminate against one group of people by hauling out cultural stereotypes without much pushback. It must be okay to do the same to others. Illogic begets illogic. Ice Cube's June 10th day-long series of tweets, which involves some creepy symbols and images in general, implied that Jews were responsible for the oppression of blacks. NFL Deshaun Jackson tweeted out several anti-Semitic messages, including a quote he incorrectly thought was from Hitler, "Not your your go-to guy from Why Can't We All Get Along," quote, stating that Jews had a plan to extort America and achieve world domination. Isn't that Spectre's job in James Bond's movies? Okay, I gotta stop this for a second. So what let's be real about something here. And again, it's not about all we know that it's not all white people that are bad. But you know the flip side to that is too is that not all black people are thugs and hooligans either. But unfortunately we get that every day. When one gets treated when we mess with one, they treat all of us the same like that. Like Ice-T said himself, Ice-T, I think, said that America looks at black people as one big, you know what. And when you look at this, though, from Kareem, it's like, brother, who's feeding you this? Now, let's be clear. There were people, and I talked about this last night on Facebook, there were multiple groups that played a role in the African Holocaust as well. And those included Jews. It wasn't just Protestant Christians. It wasn't just the Catholic Church. Jews were involved in it as well. I have family members I'm descended from, and I'll just tell you this, in my family, I was just talking to my dad and others about it, but I had a great-great-grandmother supposedly who was Jewish and married a black a Jamaican sea captain, and she supposedly left her wealthy family who owned slaves to be with this Jamaican sea captain. Now that was back in the late 1800s, so my great grandmother who lived to be 99 actually, and my grandfather who lived to be 83, 80 or near 84, they lived through that age and saw all of this. Now, that stuff existed, and we have to be clear about that. When you look at people, historical people like a Judah Benjamin, Benjamin was a Jewish man who was the second in charge of the Confederacy. He was a United States Senator from Louisiana of all places, and he was a cabinet officer of the Confederate States. He was a Confederate States Secretary of War. I'm not speaking hate. This ain't hate. This is just facts. So, just looking at this article from the way Kareem is starting, he's being very critical of Ice Cube and Deshaun Jackson. And from what I was reading, what Deshaun Jackson put out, he did an Instagram post with the quote from Hitler. Now, he got lambasted in the media. You had the Julian Edelman talking about him. You had the NFL trying to force him to apologize, which of course they did later. And they also in this as well, they're talking about Steven Jackson. He's talking about Steven Jackson, and he says these statements would be laughed at by anyone with a middle school grasp of reason. But then former NBA player Steven Jackson, a self-proclaimed activist, undid whatever progress his previous advocacy may have achieved by agreeing that with Deshaun Jackson on social media. Then he went on to talk about the Rothschilds owning all the banks and his support for the notorious homophobe and anti-Semite Louis Farrakhan. Now, wait. Now, let's look at this, okay? This is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who is a Muslim, just like Louis Farrakhan, just like Ice Cube. Ice Cube is in the Muslim faith, and he's speaking out against fellow brothers in Islam. And I'm pretty sure Kareem has met both of these men, being that he's in Hollywood. June continued to bust out all over with anti-Semitism when performer Chelsea Handler, herself Jewish, posted videos of Farrakhan to her 3.9 million followers. Now, what exactly, I'm trying to think, but what exactly did Minister Farrakhan, and I'm not a Muslim, I'm a Catholic, but it's like what Jeremiah Wright said about Minister Farrakhan. He's like F. Scott Fitzgerald, where black people may not agree with him, but they will listen to him. They're going to listen to what he says because he's going to speak the truth and say things that we may not be able to say. He's going to talk about black on black crime, but he's going to talk about why the guns were there in the first place. He's going to speak out against white supremacy. Do you hear me? Hit the like button and subscribe. Hit the like button and subscribe. And let me go on. Do you know that Bruce Willis, another note, because he's talking about Chelsea Handler, she was agreeing with something that Minister Farrakhan said, and Minister Farrakhan, I think, even pointed that out. And I know that Bruce Willis, the action hero, I know that they asked Bruce Willis if he were black, what leader he would follow. And Bruce Willis even said, I would follow Minister Farrakhan, and they made Bruce Willis recant that. Did you know that? That same month, President Donald Trump's re-election campaign has also been criticized for exploiting anti-Jewish biases, even though Trump's son-in-law and campaign honcho Jared Kushner is Jewish and his daughter Ivanka converted to Judaism before they were married. Playing on that same Rothschild trope, they issued a letter accusing 3 billionaires of Jewish descent of using their fortunes to rig the November election. Okay, you guys get where this is going. Okay, and so Ice Cube clearly didn't like this. And he's going on. He talks about Ice Cube. Ice Cube's response was remorseless. What if I was just pro-black? This is the truth, brother. I didn't lie on anyone. I didn't say I was anti-anybody. Don't believe the hype. I've been telling my truth. His truth was clearly anti-Semitic, but like Trump, he believes his truth exists outside the facts. As writer Roxanne Gay summed it up, it is impossible to take you seriously with regards to social justice or anything when you post anti-Semitic imagery. What the fuck are you doing? Well, let me just say this about the Rothschilds. First and foremost, when you criticize the Rothschilds, criticizing them doesn't mean that I indict an entire population on race for being racist or indict them as being wicked and evil. The truth of the matter is, even when you look at Hollywood, those people who run Hollywood, most people who run Hollywood are, the three groups are white, Jewish, gays. Because you think of Judaism is a religion. It's not a race. Although you have people of that, community that is real tight knit, and and different communities, all ethnic groups, probably with the exception of black people, stick together on certain things. You look at the Asian community, in particular the Korean, when they set up shop, just look at where they set shop at in our communities, where they're able to get, business loans, things that we can't get, and put up liquor stores or dry cleaners or whatever businesses that you want to talk about, gas stations. The Arab zones control that. In Detroit alone, if you read Dr. Claude Anderson's book, Powernomics, he just demonstrates how the Arab community only makes up less than 1% of Detroit's population, but they were able to amass in just the year 2000 alone $69 million. Now, how do you think they did that? They didn't get it from donations, door to door. They didn't set up a GoFundMe page in 2000. It didn't exist. When you look at how wealth is accumulated in this country, in this world, and this is a book that I'm sure Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has heard of, Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. The wealth distribution of blacks to whites is ridiculous. When you look at the amount of people of color in the world versus those of the majority society in America, although they're not the majority in the world, but if you're talking about Europeans and white people, there are more people of color by at least 80% or better. Whites only make up 20% or less. And why? So then when you look at that fact, and this is not hate, again, I got to keep stressing it. We can't even have a conversation until I start making the point that I'm not hating you. Because what happens is that we can't really dialogue when we have people who are who have so much, who are in their fucking feelings. We got people that are in their feelings that they can't even hold dialogue anymore. And when you talk about offending people, I don't want to offend someone. There are people that get offended by saying God bless you. People that are offended for saying Merry Christmas. There are people that don't like that. Pretty soon, you're not going to be able to say anything anymore. But let me go on with this. Because, Brother Kareem, you're a disappointment, straight up. And you my elder and all. And, I respect him. But this was ridiculous. Even the apologies, and I'm not reading all of it, but he goes on. He talks about even the apologies floundered, more attempts at spin, the true contrition, more attempts at spin than true contrition. In a CNN interview, C.N. Jackson was angry and belligerent at being called out. I stated I could have changed my words. There's nothing that I said that I support any of that. There's nothing that I said that I hate anybody. I apologize for my words, and I could have switched up. That's the end of it. I love everybody. While it's possible the words were wrong, celebrities have a responsibility to get the words right. Well, Mr. Jabbar, what are you doing? What are you speaking up against racism? Because all I've seen you do, you spoke up against Quentin Tarantino for the Bruce Lee scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and you caping for on the Hollywood Reporter here for the Jewish community. You shitted on Bill Cosby. Let's not forget about that. Yeah. Did you know in 2018, my Bill Cosby friendship and When Bad People Make Good Art? He wrote that for the Hollywood Reporter. He wrote that shit. Y'all should just read it. I don't even want to be bothered with it. I'll share the link in the description, but y'all should read the crap that he wrote. And Kareem, I guess he's up in age, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he was fighting cancer at one point, and I think all of that took out of him because if you look at his pictures, Kareem is old and thinnish and frail looking. And he goes on talking about how the song Strange Fruit was written by, which was made famous by Billie Holiday, was written by a white Jewish high school teacher, Abel Maripol, who performed it with his wife around New York before it was given to Holiday. Okay, so what? So what? Chuck Berry wrote Maybelline. Chuck Berry wrote uh, Surfing USA. And yet, two Jewish record producers, Leonard Chess and I believe Paul Chess, his brother, they put their names on that song with him and stole countless royalties from Chuck Berry. I'm not making something up. This is fact. I'm not being anti-Semitic. I'm not being anti-white. I'm spitting fact. Chuck Berry had to sue the Beach Boys to get Surfing USA back because that melody from Sweet 16, that was what the Beach Boys used. Chuck Berry would look and notice that his music, when he would look at his song, the sleeve on his album covers, he would notice these men would have their names on some of his songs, even though they didn't have anything to do with the actual song at all. Not in the composition, not in the melody, not in the lyric, nothing. Again, that's not hate speech, that's fact. And there are countless others. When Minister Farrakhan made that statement, and I remember him denouncing Hitler, he called him wickedly great. And what he was saying was that in his wickedness, he was great in his wickedness. But you notice when they always talk about Minister Farrakhan, let me stop sharing this. When they talk about Minister Farrakhan, they never want to point out exactly not only what he says, but challenging him to a debate, to challenge and talk with him. Phil Donahue has had Minister Farrakhan on. Barbara Walters has interviewed Farrakhan. Mike Wallace has interviewed Farrakhan. And those were Jewish people. Mike Wallace was a Jewish man. And Minister Farrakhan, treated him with respect, but he was firm in what he said. He was firm in his statements about when he checked Mike Wallace about calling, it was one of these African countries. We're going to play that clip for you. But he called him out. Let's see it right fast. All right? Hold on. Come on, guys. We're going to get there. What's up, everybody? Like and subscribe this channel. We got 4 people watching. Yeah, exactly. He's fucked up. Who else is in the chat? We got 4 people. I know I got more people. I see Felicia. I see Makia. Let me play that video right quick. Okay, he was talking about Nigeria. So that's what it was. So this is the clip. This is the clip that they were talking about. Hold on a second. I got an issue with the audio. Who is that? Purple Radioactive. Does it look like spam or GK? Check him out. All right, hold on, guys. I'm sorry, I'm having a little difficulty. Let me add. Hold on, but I'm gonna put this on, so y'all gonna hear this tonight. Okay, we're gonna hear all of this tonight.
Farrakhan You go to Nigeria, which is, if not the most corrupt nation in Africa, and it is, it could be the most corrupt nation in the world, Minister Farrakhan.
Oh, now, Mr. Wallace.
It is the most corrupt nation that I have ever covered. I've been there 25 years ago, and I've been there as recently as last year.
Fine. So what? 35 years old. That's what that nation is. Now, here's America, 226 years old. You love democracy, but it's there in Africa. You're trying to force these people into a system of government that you just have accepted. 30 years ago, black folk got the right to vote. You're not in any moral position to tell anybody how corrupt they are. You should be quiet and let those of us who know our people go there and help them get out of that condition. But America should keep her mouth shut wherever there's a corrupt regime, as much hell as America has raised on the earth. No, I will not allow America or you, Mr. Wallace, to condemn them as the most corrupt nation on earth when you have spilled the blood of human beings. Has Nigeria dropped an atomic bomb and killed people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Have they killed off millions of Native Americans? How dare you put yourself in that position as a moral judge? I think you should keep quiet, because with that much blood on America's hands, you have no right to speak. I will speak because I don't have that blood on my hands. Yes, there's corruption there. Yes, there's mismanagement of resources. Yes, there is abuse. There's abuse in every nation on earth, including this one. So let's not play holy to moralize on them. Let's help.
I'm not moralizing. I'm asking you a question, and I got an answer.
Why would you put it as the most corrupt regime in the world? That doesn't make sense.
Can you think of one more corrupt?
Yeah, I'm living in one. I'm living in one. Yeah, you've done a hell of a thing on this earth, so you should not be the one to talk. You should be quiet when it comes to moral condemnation. In my
So Minister Farrakhan went hard on that one. All right, that was one of the videos. So yeah, so he did that interview with Mike Wallace and gave him that work. And let me be clear. I will say this. I still, as an attorney myself, and I haven't now, maybe I'm wrong for saying this part because I haven't seen the world, all of the world, but I do know there are places where you can't have freedom of speech, where you have to dress a certain way, where you have to talk a certain way. And I still believe that America is the greatest nation in the world, despite its flaws, despite its faults, despite everything we're going in, because this is one of the few countries that I can think of where you can, go somewhere, you can make something out of nothing. Of course, I'm all about reconnecting and building in our motherland. I think we should look at what job opportunities. This is a time too, especially with the Nick Cannon thing, when we talk about we need to learn what it is to create an LLC. Maybe I can do that on a program one day. What it takes to write your articles of incorporation, how you need to get things trademarked, how you need to get things copyrighted. Like if you're starting a food company, for instance, or let's just say you want to start a beer company, you got to obviously register the name of your company with the Patent and Trademark Office. You also got to get your jingles copyrighted if you're going to go into that route. So you want to protect yourself. And Nick Cannon, unfortunately, I don't think he protected himself when he went and did business with these folks, because that's the way it seems like for him to switch back and forth. But to get back on our topic, because I know you guys have been waiting a little bit, but I wanted to give us some more room. But this is the article. This is from the Daily Mail. And not surprisingly, of course, I didn't really even want to watch it, but earlier this morning, I just happened to turn the news on while I was at work. I'm working from home, and up comes Gayle King and CBS Morning News. That was the last thing was on. We were watching CBS, right? And so they're playing talking about Nick Cannon's apology. And I have to get that video off. And of course, they brought on that mammy Jamel Hill. I'm tired of Jamel Hill. I know that she's anti Donald Trump and a lot of people like that, but remember, Jamel Hill went and blasted not only Minister Farrakhan, but she's also supported that little hit piece article that called Black Men the great, the new white supremacists of black women, or the new terrorists of black women, or some bullshit like that. How can you be? See, I don't understand how you can be pro-black and be against your man. See, I never understood something like that. How are you going to be married to a black man, but then you're going to disrespect all black men? I don't get that. So, here at Daily Mail, Ice Cube has hit back at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, accusing the NBR star of being a Judas after he criticized the rapper and several other black celebrities for their anti-Semitic tweets, which he called a troubling omen for the Black Lives Matter movement. And Black Lives Matter, if you guys know what I have said about it, Black Lives Matter is not a black, this is the thing, it is not a black organization to begin with. It is a movement that has been hijacked to promote and push LGBTQ. It is being used to promote and push feminism. That's what you see, and they don't hide it. They don't hide it. Just look at the things that they believe. I've posted that before. I'm not going to get back into it, but Jabbar, the Hollywood Reporter article that I wrote, says Jabbar called out Ice Cube, NFL star Deshaun Jackson, and NBA player Steven Jackson for the recent social media posts containing anti-Semitic messages, some of which promoted the controversial views of Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan. Jabbar referred to a series of tweets by Ice Cube last month that contained creepy symbols and images implying Jews were responsible for the oppression of blacks. And Ice Cube shot back. He said, "Shame on the Hollywood Reporter, who obviously gave my brother Kareem 30 pieces of silver." There you go, the Judas reference, to cut us down without even a phone call. And Jake Trapper, who Ice Cube had a war of words with, said, "Where's the outrage over anti-Semitism in sports in Hollywood?" HollywoodReporter.com. "Since you all love my last op-ed, I thought I'd blow your entertainment minds with my forum's thoughts on Hollywood and its apathy to all forms of social justice." And there you go. You see that Ice Cube is the first one up there. He also criticized Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver. Yeah. So obviously they know each other. And of course, I've seen this before. I haven't seen this one before right there, but Ice Cube doesn't hold anything back, and neither does Farrakhan. And you got to realize that you got to be willing to risk it all. Now, if you know anything about Ice Cube, of course, being that he was with NWA, he was a guy. He wrote a lot of their lyrics and songs. Like "Fuck the Police." Of course, that's a classic. I think he wrote "Boys in the Hood" for Eazy-E, because at that time I think Eazy-E was not. It was difficult to get him to rap, as you saw in the movie. It was just a spur of the moment thing, and how he got started. Jabbar had the phrase as a reference to the biblical story of Judas, who was given 30 pieces of silver to portray Jesus. Jabbar has yet to publicly respond to Ice Cube's comments. The athlete's column was published as backlash grew over an episode of Nick Cannon's podcast in which the actor made anti-Semitic remarks and called white people barbaric, evil, and savages. And really, if you listen to what Nick Cannon was saying, and this is the thing that people forget, Nick Cannon was actually reading or talking about Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's writings that she had given over the issues of Semitism and melanin and so forth. And when you talk about the Mountain of Caucasus, and I don't know if you guys are ready for that, but Caucasus is where the term Caucasian from. came from, because that's around the European. If I'm not trying to, I didn't want to fail geography and get my geography wrong tonight, but I believe Caucasus is around Turkey, if I'm not mistaken, or Greek. Caucasus Mountains. Hold on a second. Well, anyway, Caucasus, Caucasus, Caucasus Mountains. That's what it's called. Caucasus Mountains. It's at the intersection of Europe and Asia. So it's around. It's in the countries on the continent of Eurasia, and it's around Russia. All right, so that's where it is. Excuse me. So I had the wrong continent. But that's supposedly where the term Caucasian came from. And let me be clear. And when you talk about Semites and Shem, hold on one second. So I'm going to stop. But before I stop uh, even with the term Semite, if I'm not, just from what I have been reading, because I do read, I do know my Bible, I do know things about it, but the that term actually came from Shem, from the descendants of Noah. The sons of Noah, of course, were Ham, Japheth, and Shem. And Ham, I believe, was the youngest son. And since we're talking about being anti-Semitic, let's talk about being anti-black. For instance, did you know that in the Bible, there's a point where Noah was, after the flood, he's out of the ark, he was drunk. And during his drunkenness, he actually was clothed by his children, except that the two oldest boys, Japheth and Shem, they did either covered their eyes, or I believe they walked backwards in the tent where Noah was, so that they wouldn't see his nakedness. And Ham, however, saw his father's nakedness. And when Noah found out about this, he cursed the son of Ham, Canaan. Now, what happened in that, as a result of that, you had, and I talked about this yesterday, the curse of Ham, but it's really the curse of Canaan. Many people, that narrative was falsely interpreted to many Christians, Muslims, Jews, and others, that was an explanation for black skin. And that was also used to justify slavery. Now, of course, that's not politically correct to say that, but that's what people believed in. The Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saints movement, the Mormons, that's the reason why they didn't have the ordination of blacks in their priesthood. The Latter-day Saint movement, that's why they didn't support that. They didn't support black people. It was segregated at one time. And I think they were eating, Donnie and Marie Osmond were a member of the Mormons, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it was either Oprah Winfrey that had them on and even questioned them about that. I can't think of, it was an interview that they did. It may have not been Oprah, but I think Oprah has had them on. She has been, I know she's interviewed the Mormons. And look, I don't like Oprah. I'm not saying that because I like her. I'm not saying that. But I'm bringing that up because I'm giving you guys facts you can look at. I'm going to put these articles in. There's going to be in the description box or the chat box. The purple rate. Who the fuck are you? Who is purple radioactive? Y'all mods, y'all gotta check these guys. So yeah, that's where that term comes from. But Sarah Silverman and Drake Trapper are repeating all of this, retweeting this. Governor Mike Huckabee is tweeting this. But, you know, Sarah Silverman, in all honesty, she needs to shut the fuck up. Sarah Silverman, I'm being real with you, an unfunny comedian. This is the same woman. I've seen her say a lot of racist shit about black people. You know, she came in and was brought in because she was there to take over Dave Chappelle's spot. If you remember, she had that show on Comedy Central right after Dave Chappelle left. And shout out to his brother Rashad Humphrey. He talked about, and let me be real, I'm a comedian myself, so I love to laugh. I'm not saying that comedians can't, you know, say certain things, of course, but I've found that Sarah Silverman has never been fucking funny, period. And she has said some things, and even Corey Holcomb, if y'all watch the 5150 show, he has called her out for a lot of racist shit before. So she shouldn't be responding to anti-Semitism when she's had a history of doing this. But this was posted by brother Rashad Humphrey. Shout out to him. I'm actually gonna let me stop sharing this right now. Yeah, get him out of here, GK. I'm not gonna be too much longer, guys. But hold on. But this was posted. Yeah, so he
I'm working on an open letter and it goes like this. Guess what, Martin Luther King?
okay, hold on a second. I'm gonna rewind it. Can y'all see? Hold on. Yeah, she's the last. She can shut the hell up. She's not funny. She's not a talented comedian, but they put her out there just like the Amy Schumers, and you know, comedy. And Amanda feels like comedy has changed so much now. I mean, anybody can be a comedian and make money from it. I need to just set up. I think the thing I'm doing wrong, I need to have my production company on fleek and just set my microphone up and just do it from there. Have my audience spaced out, and that'd be great. So, but this is it here. So he sent this to me, sent this to on Facebook. So let's play it. I haven't seen it yet.
Open letter and it goes like this. Guess what, Martin Luther King? I had a fucking dream too. I had a dream that I was in my living room. It wasn't my living room, but it was like playing my living room in the dream. And I walked through to the backyard, and there's a pool, and as I'm diving in, there's a shark coming up from the water with braces. So maybe you're not so fucking special. Martin Luther King. Yeah. I want to be the first comic ever to shit on Martin Luther King. People only talk about the good things. They don't mention he was a litter bug. He'd roll up all the windows and lock them and fart in the car with the heat up. While his family suffered, and he would laugh.
So that was supposed to be funny. And she said some stupid. And look, Sarah Silverman, she's worn blackface. She's done a couple of other things before. I mean, her comedy if you're just going on comedy, I mean, she's actually just gone ahead and she's one of those comedians that basically just says things that is offensive more than it is funny. Like, I never laughed once at that. Now, I'm not saying comedian. It is comedy. Yeah, people can say what they want, but fuck her. Excuse my language. No, but I'm being real. But I wanted to show y'all that. But yeah, Ice Cube. What do y'all think? Do y'all think Ice Cube was harsh in calling Kareem Judas? GK, you're on here. What do you think about it? I saw Keith Ponder. He said he was super disappointed in Kareem. Yeah, I was disappointed in Kareem as well. But at this point, Kareem is old. So I'm not surprised when I see stuff like that. I think Kareem is basically, he's at that point in his age in life where he's just like, I don't want to say staying, if you want to say staying relevant. But I mean, he's written like I said, he wrote that hit piece on Cosby a couple years after Cosby got convicted. And now Cosby his appeal hasn't gone through. GK, you say, I feel you on that. What about Clay? Are you in here, Clay? We got 4 people. Come on, I got to believe there's 4 people on YouTube. We got to have more people that are here watching this. But yeah, I think he was a straight sucker for that. I mean, and I respect Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is arguably one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And I have no problem with people caping for other people. If you want to fight for that, if you want to fight for other people, okay, you can fight for other people. But just keep in mind who you're doing it for and why you're doing it. And also keep in mind that the people you're fighting for, they've also said negative things about you. I don't tolerate hatred or bigotry to any group, but they can hold their own nuts. Some people can hold their own. That's just real. Let's just keep it 100. They can hold their own ball. They can hold their own ball. Or balls. Hold their own nuts. You don't think he was harsh at all? Who else we got? It's like I said, though, with Nick Cannon, we can't rely on celebrities anymore. Stop doing it. You're going to disappoint yourself. All right. I've done enough of this live stream. Sorry I was cursing, but sometimes I do that. When I'm thinking and I'm just shooting from the hip tonight. But I want to really talk about this. But I don't get why some of our people will sit up and defend certain groups, but they don't have that same that happens to us. I've never understood that. I'm not saying that we should tolerate discrimination of any kind, but I also don't think that we should be playing Superman to those those that disrespect us. Like, I would never, for instance, when this thing that happened with Akia Gurley up in New York, where you had a Vietnamese police officer kill an unarmed black man, and that cop was convicted, but then because pressure was put on by the Asian community on the DA, they were able to drop. He dropped the oration of no sentence, and they are suspended sentence on this man. on that cop. Now that prosecutor actually died, I think, a year ago from cancer, and that was a black man. It's the same thing with the situations with these nail salons that discriminate against black women and refuse to, sometimes cut their sisters' nails, and even in these cosmetic stores where black women are the biggest consumers of those products, how they threw a black woman and her child out of the store, even beating her up, putting their hands on her. And what did you see the next day? The Korean store owner cuts the prices in half, and then the line is lined up all the way to the block, all around the block. And the black men are the only ones that were there to protest against that foolishness. So we got to pick a side. Sometimes you can't straddle the fence all the time, man. You either want to if you want to be a billionaire and keep your money and keep your head down while your people are getting hurt, then go over there. But more than likely, if you're going to fight on the side of the people, you're not going to have, be a millionaire because you're not playing by their rules. It's set up that way, sadly. But that's why we got to create our own. So what this told me in closing, guys, is that black people, we don't own our own stuff. So when we own our own things, when we take a stand, don't be surprised when you lose it all. Because if you don't own shit, then you are going to be out on the streets. So we got to create our own. It also tells me that black celebrities can't speak for us anymore. Nick Cannon, I'm not saying that he can't talk, but we can't expect celebrities to say the right thing because some of them, as I stated earlier, and I talked about this, they won't always be there for you. And that's not their job. And I mean, you think about this too. Half of us in here, I don't have the platform that Nick Cannon has. All I have is YouTube and Facebook. But Nick Cannon has got millions of dollars. He has an ex-wife who's worth over $500 million. He's got TV shows. He can make movies. He can, he's a chairman of Nickelodeon, or he was. So he can do things that many of us can't do. He's got a platform, and he's got rich people's problems right now. Yeah, so we got to think about that, man. But leave your comments in here. Thank you, Ajike, for being the mod. I don't know who the 5 viewers are, but you like this video, you subscribe to the channel. I'm getting more and more subscribers on this channel, so I'm happy about that. Even though YouTube is trying to take them away, we need a new platform, perhaps. I've talked about that. So I want you guys to please subscribe to this channel, subscribe to the channel, donate to the Cash App. It's in the description. GavinRichardEsq. Donate to the GooglePay, Gavin.grich1@gmail.com. If you have any more topics that you would like to hear on this platform, I'd ask that you please email me at the same email, Gavin.grich1@gmail.com. And also, if you would please give a donation if you can. But shout out to all who have been watching this video, that have been here with me. Told you I wouldn't keep it too long. So it was under an hour and 20 minutes roughly. So you guys leave a comment. We got somebody that just commented. Hold on, let me see this. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, I'm reading what a GK said. All right. Yeah, baby. Well, you guys have a blessed evening. Enjoy the weekend that's coming up. Be safe out here. Be safe out here. And just enjoy the rest of the week, guys. I am out. Hold on a second. I didn't put that. Thought I put this up. Hold on a second. I want to share that. This is the article I was going to leave in the chat box. I'm going to leave it in the description as well. This was the article that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wrote against. No, that's not. What? Wait. Sorry. That's not what I meant to do. I don't know why it's acting up. Hold on. There we go. I'm gonna put it in the description too, so you guys can read. But yeah, I thought Kareem was a straight sucker for this. But you guys, please leave a message. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, guys. I'm out of here. Peace. Good night.